Imagine you had a day when you were perfectly consistent in doing what you wanted to do, and you got to a point when you realized, oh, I'm finished, everything's done. When you think of that experience, do you typically see yourself having that, arriving at that point at the end of your day, right before you go to sleep and wake up the next day and do it all over again? Or do you see yourself having that experience of, oh, I'm finished, earlier in your day, maybe by 2 p.m. or something, noon even? Question being then, what am I going to do with the rest of my day? Now, don't get me wrong, not many of us have that experience of getting to that point early in the day when we feel like, I'm finished, everything's done. Whatever little tasks I had to take off the list are ticked off the list. And I think a part of the reason, there's a few reasons, but there's a big one, there's a fear of that space of not having something to do. A lot of the time we feel like there's something wrong with that, maybe that it's not mature or that I'm slacking off somehow, and that if I don't have something to do or to focus on, that I'll be listless and ungrounded and kind of wasting my time. But I want to talk here about actually how that is a mistake, because one of the fundamental emotional needs we have as human beings, and I haven't heard many people talk about this, but I'm convinced that this is true. One of the fundamental needs we have as humans is for what I call spontaneity. Now, spontaneity basically means, it's a word I use to describe not having an agenda. I think children are aware of this. You know, children wake up in the morning, and unless we impose something on them, they don't have an agenda. And we see maturity as the dying off of that space where there is no agenda. We see mature adulthood as always having an agenda, always having something to do. But what if it's the case that that space of I'm not saying your whole life has to be that, there can be structure and there can be standards, but it's a question of balance, right? What if not having that in our life means an emotional need on the same level of importance as connection or fulfillment or meaning, taking care of yourself physically even? We're not getting a need in our life that is that significant. So to me, have the standards, have the things to do, but there has to be a point in the day where we arrive somewhere. Maybe, you know, ideally before you go straight to sleep, where you've got space in your life where there is no agenda. There is no have to, there's no should, need to, ought to, should have, right? We show up in that space and it's like, no, I don't know what I'm going to do right now, actually. I have no idea what I'll do right now. We are conditioned from a very young age to see that as a bad thing. One of the ways this conditioning takes shape is that, you know, we're constantly told that the right question to ask is, what should I do? What do I need to do? What do I have to do? We are never really encouraged to ask in a very serious way, what do I want to do? What do I want? Like, I'm not talking about even in life, right? Although that's an interesting question to ask about our lives. But right now, in this moment today, if I have a space without an agenda, that's where you can figure out the answer to that question. What do I want to do? What wants to happen? What am I attracted to? What's drawing me towards it instead of me pushing myself towards it? So it is a practice, and you don't have to figure out how to be spontaneous. What you have to do, I think, is you have to figure out how to not completely fill your life where spontaneity has no potential opportunity to come in and to be explored, right? So in spontaneity, a space in your life, I would say this is even different to rest, although the default within that space of spontaneity is to rest, certainly the main thing in spontaneity is that you show up with no agenda. Now that really means I'm going to have no subtle goals, certainly no overt, obvious goals that you would bring into that space, but no subtle goals. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll figure it out by feeling into my intuition, to my guidance, and see what genuinely comes up in terms of an attraction towards something. Most of our lives are not operating under that operating system. Mostly it's have to and it's obligation. But I would deeply encourage you to start to avoid filling your day to the point where it's completely scheduled. Like I remember one time I spoke to somebody and they showed me their daily schedule, and it was like the minutiae of their entire day, from the time they woke up in the morning to the time they went to sleep at night. Every move was accounted for. Every waking minute was accounted for. There was an agenda. Again, you can have some structure, an agenda, but there needs to be, it's an essential emotional need not to have your day completely filled like that. And happiness, contentment, fulfillment will not come by scheduling your entire life. It just won't. Again, a fundamental built-in need, we all have it as children, we're aware of it as children, it doesn't leave when we're adults, is to have a space of spontaneity where I don't know what I'll be doing. Now the default is relax. No goals, no self-improvement, right? Nothing of that nature. Nothing that even smells like it has an agenda of self-improvement. Just what do I want to do? Now people are skeptical of it. They think, well, I'm just going to slack off in that space and not going to do anything. That may be true. Now in my experience, it's true for a little while. That's people usually, because they've gone so long without the need, been mad, they do find that they're actually kind of burnt out or exhausted, and they don't even realize it. But actually after a while what happens is that natural attraction towards something in their life just starts to show up. But you can't go in with an agenda. The agenda needs to be, nothing needs to happen in this space. If you want to go watch a movie and relax, that's what you would do. If you want to go for a walk, you would do that, but not if walking is a goal you have. You can't bring your conscious goals into this space. Someone else told me once, they were trying this, and they said, it's great, I'm loving this space, I'm getting to catch up on my reading. And I kind of had to pause and just question, well, does that mean tomorrow when you're doing this, you're probably going to be reading? Yeah, I love reading. Fine, but if reading now has become a subtle little self-improvement, I want to read 50 books this year or something, you want to be really careful with that, right? There can't be any agenda or expectation of what you should do in that space of spontaneity. Finally, I would say, if you do invest in this, in creating that space of spontaneity, you might be very surprised to find out that you also, if you're investing that time in that space, a very strange thing happens. You become productive in the space away from spontaneity, way more productive, because you're more emotionally balanced. So keep that in mind, right? Ask yourself, how much spontaneity have I been giving myself? And notice there might be a big opportunity. Maybe it's counterproductive or counterintuitive to what you've tried before, that thing of scheduling, trying to maybe control a lot of life. But if you try that earnestly for a little while, you might be surprised that not only are you kind of able to relax more, maybe you're having more joyful experiences, but you're also becoming more focused and productive in your life. And that's been my experience. Some of the experiences I've had in that space of spontaneity have been actually way more helpful than the things I was doing in the productive phase, believe it or not. So keep it in mind, hope it's useful. I talk about this there's a free book on my website, it's called Forget Happiness. It talks about spontaneity as being one of the 5 essential needs. So if you want to check that out, you can. And of course, as always, if you want to contact me for one-to-one work, you can do so through my website. If you want to like this video, if it's been helpful to you, it's a big help. Subscribe to the channel, it helps me reach more people, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.